Well, here's part two of my Monza Grand Prix analysis. My first part got quite a lot of you triggered. I mean, when I asked you, F1 racist, is it because he's black? At least 300 of you just replied in the comments section to tell us what you thought with your racist comments. So thanks for that. I'm not going to go into them. It's a waste of time me trying to demonstrate to you the error of your ways. You can't be told. You can't self-reflect. You can't analyze why it is you hold the opinions that you do. And rather than absorb information, rather than consider what is being exposed to you, okay, you will tell us what you think with your reasons, which make no sense. But it doesn't matter. We're now on to part two, where I'm going through what was said at the Monza Grand Prix by the commentary team of Brundle and Crofty. And the reason I do it this way is because when I watch Grand Prix racing, I listen to what is being said, and for the majority of the time, I know real time that I'm just being fed narrative. You know, the whole Monaco Grand Prix as it was unfolding, we get the notion of, oh, are Ferrari going to be able to hold on to the win? McLaren clearly the faster car, but Ferrari have gone for this incredible one-stop strategy. Well, who'd have thought? You know, who wins Monza with a one-stop strategy? I wonder. And are they going to be able to overcome McLaren, who have had to go for two stops because they're wearing their tyres out? Are Ferrari's tyres going to wear out? Hold on to the edge of your seat, everybody. What are we going to see? So, you know, that was happening. And I was listening to it thinking, here we go. Here we go. So some of us are seeing it real time. Others will never see it because they're excited by that. They'll think that that's just normal. That's what Formula One racing is. That's normal. And therefore, if you don't think that's normal, you don't understand what Formula One racing is. All right, mate. Thanks for your valuable insight. The other narratives that the other things that we need to just consider about this is where is the best driver we've ever seen? You know, how come the guy that could qualify on pole in an Alpine didn't qualify on pole and didn't run away with it in the way that we've seen him win 72 of the last 42 races? You know, because he's that good. You know, he's won more races than he's competed in. The guy is so incredible. Where is he now? You know, without them stabilizers on, Max Verstappen can't ride his bike. Okay, he's not very good. Okay, so he's not the greatest we've ever seen, is he? Were it not for the fact that George Russell's not very good either, Max Verstappen would have finished a little bit further down because George put his car in third. And as we see regularly with George Russell, you know, the Mercedes team leader, their number one driver, went backwards in the race, which is what we see frequently, isn't it? One guy looks pretty good in all the practice sessions, gets to qualify him, and for some reason, that car doesn't seem to be able to hook itself up during qualifying. And yes, maybe I don't know. I don't know whether Lewis Hamilton is underperforming or whether his machine that he needs to be able to perform in all of a sudden doesn't seem to be able to perform for some reason. I don't know how it actually works. I'm not an industry insider. But nevertheless, what you'll then see is Lewis Hamilton tends to gain ground during a race. Not the easiest thing to do. Perform overtakes against similar machinery to your own. You know, not the easiest thing to do. But he managed it. I wonder why. Whereas the other car seems to go backwards in races. The team leader seems to drop down the field. Oh, he's a true great of the sport, isn't he? He's a superstar. Superstar, apparently, that one. What else do we see? We see, the Ferraris, which clearly weren't as fast as the McLarens, emerge from their home circuit with a win. You couldn't make it up, could you? We've had quite a few events like that this season where, oh, the fairy tale ending for whoever at their home Grand Prix, or yeah, and we've seen that the world title so-called contender, who Max is that far out of reach anyway. They've now decided that Max is pretty much won the drivers' championship. That they can tell Red Bull that they're now not allowed to cheat anymore. You can keep all the points he's accumulated by having cheated, by having used that illegal device. Yeah, you can keep them. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. You've been able to use your driving gauge for all that period, but you're far enough ahead now. We won't take them points off you, but you're no longer allowed to use them, all right? Because we need to allow Lando to come back to you and make it look like it's a tight title battle. But we know Lando's not that good anyway because his teammate Oscar's better than him, and he's that far back anyway. He won't ever catch you, Max, so you'll be all right. Even without your stabilisers on, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. And actually, if Lando does manage to get within touching distance of you, we'll let Red Bull have one of your upgrades, and we'll let you use that again. But don't tell anybody, all right? Don't tell anybody, and then you can be Supermax again. So these are the things that are going on. But what I'm going to do is go through the audio clips that we hear coming from Brundle and Crofty. The things that make you go, Now, before I get into the audio from Monza, I just want to refresh your memory because I know Formula One expects us all to not remember anything, all right? We've all moved on. Nobody can remember the atrocities of the past, and we're all just going to accept everything they say as being real at this event and not have any reference, okay? And luckily for them, I can remember a few things that happened a few races ago in Hungary. This happened.
Look at the Verstappen-Hamilton incident and Verstappen for causing a collision after this race.
So Max Verstappen drives his car into another car, causes a collision. Oh, the stewards will look at that one after the race. All right. It involves Red Bull. It involves Max Verstappen. The stewards will look at that one after the race. Now, we'll address this in a few clips' time, but just remember that one. Let's see if we can remember that one, which relates to Hungary. Okay, FIA, Formula One. Let's see if we can all remember what happened in Hungary, shall we? Let's see if we can remember that. And those stewards, yeah. Don't you deal with incidents after the race, stewards? Or are you capable of determining a penalty to award to a driver actually in the race? We'll find out. So, first clip from Monza, and I'll explain it after the clip. Here we go.
But, unfortunately, as Lando knows all too well, when he lost out in a drag race with Daniel Ricciardo down to the first corner, another Aussie, it cost him the Grand Prix victory in some respects, didn't it? Back here in 2021.
Yep.
It was. So...
Back here in 2021. You know what, Brundle and Crofty? It's going to be your downfall, isn't it? That contrived season where you facilitated the fixing of a Formula One season. You narrated it. You didn't call out the wrongdoing. You vilified the wrong guy. And you were the mouthpiece of the corruption to condition the masses before the fix even took place. And if you don't believe me, if you're new to this channel and you don't believe that that's the truth, then just watch my latest video which says Sky Sports are corrupt. Okay, it's about 3 videos back. Watch that. That will take you through those last laps and expose the commentary. I'm going to do a bit of a briefer video just to focus on exactly what they were saying before Michael Massey had even broken the rules. They were predicting he was going to break the rules before he broke the rules. As a sporting commentator, why would you predict that the referee is going to break the rules of the sport before he breaks the rules of the sport? What do you know? Brundle did go on to say, a day or two later, I know an awful lot about Abu Dhabi, and it's super uncomfortable. Yes, yes, you do know an awful lot about it, Martin. You played a crucial role in the fraud and deception. You do know an awful lot about it. You're a criminal, and you will be locked up at some point if the criminal justice system actually works. We, as the people, need to push to make sure it does, because it should act for us. It's a public service, and it should act for us. Anyway, that'll do on this clip. We'll go on to the next one.
George had to get so much brake on to avoid the back of the McLaren and fed back in eventually.
George had to get so much brake on to avoid the back of a McLaren. Okay. You're starting a Formula One race. You're going down a long straight towards a corner. What do you think is going to happen? Oh, the car in front's going to have to slow down to make it around the corner. What does that mean? Oh, it means I have to brake too. Funny that, isn't it? But you're saying, oh, that George had to get so much brake on, and then so he's gone through that bit of the slalom. He's actually hit his wheel against one of them barriers as he's gone through that slalom, and then he feeds back into track. He's got to rejoin that track in a safe manner. That's a requirement. That's within the regulations. You'll get penalised if you don't. What's Brundle saying?
Third, I think if he'd have been able to duck in a bit harder, a bit earlier, he didn't need to give so much away. And here we go.
No, it's a safety requirement, Martin. Okay, you are the presented expert of the sport. Okay, and you're not explaining that would constitute an offence of not rejoining in a safe manner if George Russell comes onto track, is not up to the correct speed, and therefore impedes an opponent. Okay, he has committed an infringement by going off the track, not making it around there, and then he has to rejoin the track, but he has to do so in a manner which doesn't impede anybody. And if he has not got his car up to speed and just ducks in the way that Martin Brundle is saying so, and causes that car, which is then causes his opponent, who is accelerating at that point in time, to have to ease off, that could cause a huge pile-up. We've seen them before in this sport. And that's what he'd have been guilty of had that have happened. So George did do the right thing in keeping a bit wider and realising that those cars that were on circuit were accelerating at a faster rate than he was able to at that stage. They'd already got some momentum. And therefore, had he just slammed his car in front of them, they would have had to come off the gas one after the other when there's no brake lights, and then as they would have been anticipating to accelerate, and actually in the process of accelerating, then having everyone in front of them come off the gas, bang, collisions, due to coming back on track in an unsafe manner. And this is the expert of the sport presenting that to the global watching audience. How are you educating people? How are you educating the kids? How are you telling them this is what needs to happen in motorsport? But you're not, are you? You're not. Now this one's incredible. Listen to this.
We're going to go on board with George. Superstar.
We're going to go on board with George. Superstar. Right?
We're going to go on board with George. Superstar. And this is where you get the formation play with the two McLaren slipstreaming. Piastri will come over very quickly.
Since when has George Russell been a superstar? I mean, I had to go and check to see, if indeed he was a superstar. And this is his record in the sport of Formula One. So he raced in, a test driver in 2017. 2019, he was a Williams driver. Didn't finish inside the top 10. Didn't get any points. Finished 20th in the Drivers' Championship. That was in his debut season. 2020, drove for Williams apart from one race, which was the Sakir Grand Prix, I believe it was, when Lewis Hamilton had COVID, I think it was. So he's driven for Williams that season. Where did he come? not in the top 10 for Williams at all season, and came 9th when he was driving for the Mercedes team, guested for that one race, picking up 3 points, and he finished 18th in the championship. I'm not getting the superstar vibe at the moment. Then he's in the Williams again in 2021. Where what did he get? He got 8th in Hungary, 2nd in Belgium. He got his first ever podium at the Belgian parade, where the race wasn't a race, where no racing took place. He got a lucky qualifying lap where he got the conditions right. He went out, fair play, you can't take anything away. He timed the conditions right where he was able to put in a decent time at a point in time in qualifying where then conditions deteriorated and the other drivers couldn't set faster times. So well done, fine, but that doesn't mean you get a second position in a Grand Prix, because to get second position in a Grand Prix has to take place, and the Grand Prix will be deemed to have started when, and if you've got on reconnaissance laps behind the safety car, the Grand Prix will have been deemed to have started when the safety car returns to the pits and then the leader crosses that start-finish line for the first time. That indicates the start of the race. That's indicated in the FIA's own regulations. That never happened. But the FIA tell you that you saw a race there. Martin Brundle and David Croft were telling you, as those were all lapping behind the safety car, that, the race has now begun. So the sports commentators are being paid to condition you to believe that you're seeing a race when those cars are just parading behind the safety car, and it doesn't even meet the criteria for the race beginning. But George Russell finished second. Celebrate good times. Come on there, George. And he was whooping and probably, I don't know whether he was prancing around the way he does for finishing second there. And then he finished, 9th in Italy and 10th at his home Grand Prix in Oh, no, that's the Russian Grand Prix. And then he retired at Abu Dhabi 2021, the fraudulent one. Then he became a Mercedes driver, and he came 4th in the championship, beating Sir Lewis Hamilton in 2022. When that car was porpoising, that car was bouncing off the track with spine-shattering kind of frequency and impact that a seasoned driver, great of the sport, wouldn't want to be pushing it, wouldn't want to be putting himself in a situation where you've got no feel for the car's unpredictable, you cannot have any confidence in the handling of that car as such, and therefore he focused that season on developing that car to try to understand why it was doing it, get the team to be able to understand that, so that the team could make the developments to make that car not do it. Whereas the young buck, the young lad, all he cared about was going as fast as he could and to beat Lewis Hamilton. Well done, George. Well done, team player. So he came 4th in the World Championship in 2022. And then 2023, he's been with the Mercedes team as a team leader. Now it's his second year there. So he's going to do better, isn't he? Finished 8th. And then this year he's currently in 8th, and he's won 2 Grand Prix in his whole career out of all of those races. Now, where would that rank him? If you're a superstar, you'd expect to be up there, wouldn't you? Now, where does that rank him in the list of Formula One drivers? List of Formula One Grand Prix winners. Let's have a look here. Let's have a look at all the superstars in the list. And we have to get down to all of these superstars here. Bill Vukovic, Jose Frolian Gonzalez, Maurice Trintignant. Sorry, you'd all know who he is, because I should know all of these superstars. These should just roll off the tongue. Wolfgang von Trips, Pedro Rodriguez, Joe Siffert, all legends of the sport that I'm sure we all remember as superstars. Peter Revison, Patrick Depailler, like my French accent there, Jean-Pierre Jabouillet, Patrick Tambay, Elio De Angelis, and then the other superstars of the sport, with a record that puts them in joint 68th place in the history of the sport, is Lando Norris and George Russell. Superstars, aren't they? You know, both 6 years into their Formula One career with 2 victories each. Superstars. You know, as a country, I mean, there's a guy here with 106 grand. Wikipedia's got it a bit wrong because they're missing Abu Dhabi 2021 there. And they might have to make some amendments when the Red Bull gets disqualified for 2022, 2023, and 2024, because those competitors that were the first non-Red Bull competitors in each of those Grand Prix will get promoted up positions, so we'll have some different race winning statistics at that point. But let's not get into that at the moment. And you know, number 3 on the list there, that will probably be wiped out down to maybe 8 victories or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, superstars, all these names that are, you know, great names of the sport. You know, the ones that haven't done it with stabilizers on their car. Yeah, the superstars, ranging from first all the way down to joint 68th. Anyway, back to the video clips. So here's Brundle on the radio, well, on having a conversation with the man in the garage from the Mercedes team. Here we go.
Do I remember that you have to demonstrate to the FIA you've got enough integrity in the...
Demonstrate to the FIA that you've got enough integrity. So this is Brundle talking about integrity. Irony. The FIA, you have got to demonstrate to them about integrity. Irony. But actually the key point is the structural integrity of the vehicle. And what we saw was a bit was flapping off of George Russell's car, and then it did detach itself and flew off, and therefore that's a problem. If you can detect that there is part of the car that is flapping, then you should be required to go in the pits to get it sorted. Now, the way I view this is it's harsh in some regards, because if that damage was not your fault, then you're losing track position as a result of it. Now, but the implications are you're driving a car around at speeds of up to 220 miles an hour at Monza. And if a piece of bodywork is loose and is flapping and flies off that car, and you're travelling at 220 miles an hour, that can fly off, and where does it end up? It could hit somebody, and it could still be travelling at a speed of 70 miles an hour. And the amount of damage that could do, we're told the shards of carbon fibre are ultra sharp, that they can go through a rubber tyre. Now, if they can go through a rubber tyre, they'll go through your skin quite easily. They hit you in the neck, that could kill you. So, it's a safety thing. If you are driving around in a machine that has got the possibility of something flying off it, we've got no control of where that thing might end up, and it could do damage to somebody, then you need to sort that out. You can't just rely on hoping that, oh, it'll fall off and we'll be okay and we'll carry on. Now, from the moment in time that damage is detected, you should have to pit that lap. If it falls off that lap, then I don't think there should be a penalty for that, because you need that lap to make it around to the pits. Okay, but if it falls off and what remains of the car still is intact and you can carry on racing with that integrity of the car still in place, fine. But if you have identified there's something flapping on that car and continue to keep lapping without pitting, then that should be an offence. Okay, you're putting yourself, well, you're putting other drivers at risk because it could hit another car. It could go through the visor of one of those helmets. Now, again, these things are designed to not do that, but you don't know for sure. You don't know what's going to happen. And it could hit a marshal. It could go into the crowd. You just do not know. So on the lap that you identify that there's something flapping, you should have to pit that lap. But if it flies off before you get a chance to pit and the rest of the car is still intact, carry on. But that's the way it should work.
Rest of the wing that it's safe at this point.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that the wing is, performing as it should, and George is running competitively. So I think there's some mischievous radio messages going out there, but that's just all part of the game, and I think the FIA are pretty wise to it as well.
It's all part of the game. Right, so this is again what you are conditioned to believe. You're conditioned to believe that as being normal. Vilify the other team, try and get the other player sent off. They've outlawed that in other sport. Okay, they call that ungentlemanly conduct. So in football, you used to see players crowding around the referee, waving their hand in the air with the yellow card or red card action. You're not allowed to do that now. Okay, if you do that, you're the one that will get booked or sent off yourself. What do they do in Formula One? They hype it up. They add to the drama. They incite the fans. Are they focusing on sport? Sporting integrity here again? The integrity of a high caliber human being, a gentleman, sporting behaviour, sporting conduct. We don't see that from Red Bull, do we? Oh, Jonathan Wheatley, new head of Audi. They're going to employ him as their team principal. From that turd of a human being, Christian Horner, and from that cheat, Adrian Newey. Yeah, we don't see integrity from them, do we? We'll just try and get the other teams a penalty. Now, like I say, if the car is dangerous, then it's that team's responsibility to sort it out. But you've just heard there from the Mercedes engineer in the garage saying, yeah, it's all part and parcel of what it is about, and it's just some dirty radio messages to try and get the other team penalised. Gentlemanly conduct. Yeah? Sportsman. This is the example you're setting to kids. Sporting conduct. You're filthy. Next. Here we go.
Hulkenberg has come in for a new front wing, and we can see why. This time he's behind Yuki Tsunoda as DRS goes for the move down into turn one, locks up, and then has a collision with Tsunoda. So whilst...
Oh, so somebody's gone down in the inside with DRS, locks up and has a collision. What does that sound like? Does it sound like the Hungarian Grand Prix at Hungaroring? Does it sound like that? Sounds like a bit of a replica situation to me. The stewards will deal with that after the event, I'm sure. I'm sure they'll deal with it after this Grand Prix at Monza.
Ricciardo has been noted for causing a collision with Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg's now been noted for running into the side pod of Yuki Tsunoda.
I'm afraid for Nico that was kind of 100% guaranteed to happen because they were all...
For Hulkenberg, it's 100% guaranteed that that's going to happen when you drive like that, mate. When you drive like that, it's guaranteed that you're going to end up doing that. Oh, but not Max. Max carries so much extra speed, and it's understeer, understeer, understeer. Oh, Max was doing it differently because he got DRS, and what you got to say, Martin?
All going to turn into the corner, and as soon as you crank any steering lock in, it makes the front tyres want to lock up much more easily.
Right, Oscar Piastri.
Oh, strange that, isn't it? Strange that. None of us could have predicted that. None of us could have predicted that if you carry too much speed into a corner, you're not going to make it around the corner. And you're just either going to lock up and carry straight on, when the other car's trying to turn to get around the corner, okay? Or you're not going to make it around there safely, under control, affording the other driver that's entitled to track room that track room. Due to what Martin knows about driving a Formula One car. Well, it was always going to happen there, wasn't it, Martin? Let's play that
Hulkenberg
record
has
again.
come in.
What was he saying?
I'm afraid for Nico that was kind of 100% guaranteed to happen because they were all going to turn into the corner.
Oh, so these incidents that we've seen Max Verstappen get away with driving for years, oh, well, they're always going to happen, aren't they? Because when you just chuck it into a corner, that's what's going to happen. It's the other driver's responsibility to get out of the way of it when Max does that. I'm not getting the same energy when anybody else does that.
And as soon as you crank any steering lock in, it makes the front tyres want to lock up much more easily.
Right, Oscar Piastri. Hulkenberg has come in.
But Max doesn't lock up because he doesn't even bother to brake. He doesn't even try to leave the other driver any track room on the other side of the track. He'll run off to the other side of the track to make sure there's no track room for you. In fact, he'll run off the other side of the track to make sure there's no track room for you. That's Super Max. He's elbows out. It's super aggressive stuff. We call that let them race, Michael. The sporting director of Red Bull Racing. The new chief at Audi, Jonathan Wheatley. Next. Here's the next one.
And Nico Hulkenberg, after being squeezed by Daniel Ricciardo, has now got a 10-second time penalty.
What? The stewards have given him a time penalty in the race, not there and then. They've not waited till after the race, like Hungary, for Max.
Himself for running into the side of Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, as I said, that was pretty much 100% guaranteed to happen.
Oh, it's 100% guaranteed to happen when it's another driver. Not for Supermax, though.
And that means the stewards really took quite a dim view of that to give him the 10-second penalty. They can also give him a drive-through or a 10-second stop and go, which is going to cost you about 35 seconds. So they've given him the second least painful penalty there.
Yuki Tsunoda.
No, actually, technically speaking, it's the third least painful consequence. The first least painful consequence is Max Verstappen rules. No further action required. And then the second one is a 5-second penalty. The third one is a 10-second penalty. But, those Max Verstappen rules, driving with stabilisers, those rules, or no further action required rules, they only apply to Max, unfortunately. Next. I used this in the last one, but I'm playing it you again.
We saw on board there with Fernando, he always has, especially at the start, a massive scan going on. His work rate's enormous like that.
We're on board with Fernando, and he always has a massive scan going on. Good old Fernando. And his work rate is incredible. Can I have one of them jobs? Just sat there having a look. A massive scan. I'm having a massive scan. But yeah, you're attributing Fernando with this amazing ability to have this awareness of what's going on around him, spatial awareness to make sure he can position his vehicle to avoid the other cars and keep his car out of trouble and to ensure that he's best positioned in that race. Who's demonstrated throughout their career that they're pretty much the master of that. Who's had to contend with being up against people that are willing to crash into them, and who has had to jump out of the way to ensure collisions haven't taken place, which is the one driver on the grid that's had to take the most evasive action due to being up against that in this sport. Oh, that would be Lewis Hamilton, wouldn't it? Sir Lewis Hamilton. His work rate is incredible. whilst driving that car at that speed, whilst up against people that are allowed to drive not in accordance with the rules of the sport. But no, you're presenting Alonso as the professor, the new the intelligent one, the one with the sporting brain, the one with the Formula One racing brain. Yeah, a real racer, Fernando Alonso. Yeah, that's why you want to present him. Two-time world champion, winner of the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, where his team crashed their other car to make sure he won. Yeah, that Fernando Alonso. Incredible work rate. It's up there, having a scan. Anyway, next.
One stop, so if they can make it to lap 19, they'll be doing well. Right, this is Russell's. It's okay, this stop for Russell. Yes, it'll take another 10 seconds to change the front wing, but it's within the window to stay on a one stop here for George Russell. So bad, but not terrible.
Yes, who we know can make a one-stop work very well and can go for a long time on a set of hard tyres, and has promised that he's going to eat more pizza before the race this time around than he did before Spa.
So when we get into the tyre narrative later in the Italian Grand Prix, oh, is Charles Leclerc going to be able to make this work on a one-stopper? Yeah, we remember a few weeks ago in Belgium, somebody was able to do that. We get to the end of this race, and you tell us more about which cars managed the one-stopper. But you're building the hype up, weren't you, to say, oh, is it going to be possible? Is this going to be possible for Ferrari at their home Grand Prix? Right. But we know that we know that there's a guy that's capable of this, don't we?
It's not going to be underweight come the end of it. The tyre whisperer is going to have to do it again.
Oh, the tyre whisperer, this guy that can keep a car out on track on that same set of tyres without wearing them down. The tyre, oh, he's got that magical ability. Well, who's demonstrated they've got that? Who's done that throughout his longer career? Yeah, who is the one that can usually run longer stints than most other cars? It's not him, is it? It's not George. He's not that much of a tyre whisperer, is he? But this is the new narrative. Oh, the superstar, and
this time around, Martin Brundle is going to be losing place after place after place whilst he's in the pits for that much longer, and they finally changed that front wings for him.
Yeah, you're going to have to be a tyre shouter from there, isn't he, if he wants to get any decent points. And Leclerc just dropped 6/10 back. Karuna Race Control telling me that he was told to recharge his battery. They like to keep it above a certain level.
Karuna Race Control. Enough said about that. Wait there, next.
I think Red Bull will be like, yeah, we thought so. They've had to get rid of those tyres earlier than they ideally wanted to because they were racing each other. McLaren and Ferrari were racing each other so hard.
Yeah, Red Bull, we thought so. So the fact that Red Bull aren't very quick is because they're sitting back knowing that the others are just pushing it too hard, and that's going to cause them to ruin their tyres, and that's why Red Bull are purposefully not going that fast. Is that right, lads? Because you're not really telling us, you're not really asking the questions. Hang on a minute. How come Red Bull's performance has fallen off a cliff? Those first 5 races of the season, the Australian Grand Prix, where Max's brake exploded, that was an anomaly as a result, right? Because had that not have happened, it's highly likely he'd have won that one too. So the first 5 races of the season, what did we see from Red Bull? We saw utter domination. We saw the kind of pace that would have replicated, if not have built on, what we saw in 2023, which was the utter domination of that Red Bull team over everybody else. And that carried over into the start of 2024. Where's that gone? Where has that gone? Oh, you're trying to claim that the other teams have outdeveloped Red Bull. Really? No, they've gone backwards, but you're not talking about that. But you're not even considering the notion. You just, oh yeah, Red Bull are just sitting back. I thought so. They'd have said, I thought so to that. You're just pushing too hard on them tyres. For the narrative.
Yeah, this is a Red Bull without that straight line speed.
That's right, Crofty. It's a Red Bull without that straight line speed. How do you lose straight line speed? Oh, it's the new higher downforce setup, which is causing too much drag. That's what they'll tell you. Well, it was able to run that level of downforce before and still be out of corner fine before, but your new upgrades have caused it to not be out of corner and not be able to go fast. Not much of an upgrade, is it? I'd revert back to what you already had, lads. Oh, you're not allowed to because that's illegal, is it? Oh, okay. That means everything you achieved with that illegal car is no longer valid.
But
this guy will struggle to go to the end. I understood.
So who's he talking about? These guys.
Oh, all the actors are feeding into the script. These tyres will struggle to go on the end to the end. Stay on the edge of the seats, everybody. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Are the tyres going to last? Are they not? Oh, you couldn't make it up. It's so exciting. Next. Oh, dear me. Listen to this one.
The race falling into the hands a little bit of the two Red Bulls.
Is the race falling a little bit into the hands of the two Red Bulls? No. Here's a bit of Max.
Max Verstappen suffering from understeer and taking him wider than he would have wanted.
So the Ferrari drivers have been told we're seeing.
Is that Max Verstappen suffering from a bit of understeer and taking him wider than he'd have wanted? Well, he likes going wide to leave no track room for the other cars. Is it suffering from understeer? Well, what's causing that then? Because like 2022, it didn't appear to be doing that. 2023, it didn't appear to be doing that. Now, surely, if they understood the car, surely they would have understood the car because they've got a genius that designed it, and he'd got a team of people around him who would have surely have educated them to share his genius, and so they'd have all understand how the car works, and if they're then making improvements to it, whether or not Adrian Newey is overseeing them, then they're going to be upgrades that are going to build on those principles and utilize those principles to improve the performance and handling of that car. But now the car is understeering, and that takes Max wider than he would have liked. Now there's two issues. Either the car doesn't handle because it's not handling in the same way. Well, why is that? Is that because you no longer got the asymmetric braking on there? You know, Max's stabilizers. Or is it that Max has carried too much speed, or so much extra speed, as Karun would like to tell us, too much speed into a corner, not matched his speed for the required speed that you need to go around that corner. And if you go into a corner too fast and try and make it around that corner, and the radius of that corner is tighter than you can actually make at that speed, then you're going to carry on in a straight line and not make it around that radius. But you want to call that understeer, don't you? Oh, we'll call that understeer. We'll say that that's a handling characteristic of the car rather than the driver going in too hot. Yeah. So you do that, kids. You drive around a country lane in your Vauxhall Corsa, and you go too fast into a corner and end up hitting it into a tree, killing yourself and your 4 other 17-year-old passengers, and blame it on understeer. Oh yeah, the car just understeered into the tree. No, it's carrying too much speed to make it around a corner. Let that hit. Education. It's important. It's not just a hype show. It's not just a hype show. The FIA, I thought you promote yourself as promoting road safety worldwide. Next.
So the Ferrari drivers have been told we're seeing graining on the Red Bull, and that's you can see Perez is pretty close, isn't he, to Verstappen, and income sights.
Oh, we can see Perez close to Verstappen. Well, how's that happening then? Because we're seeing Verstappen usually qualify on pole and Perez only qualifying 13th. And, Max Verstappen, the best you've ever seen, is this good. But Perez can't do it. Now they're pretty close together, pretty much even in performance. What's happened there? Is it that Perez has caught up, or is it that Verstappen's gone backwards? Let me know what you think in the comments section. But we're getting graining on those Red Bull tyres. Well, that thing used to be the tyre whisperer, didn't it? Could it have helped with a driver aid? Asymmetric braking that was helping manage tyre wear, helping avoid those tyres from scrubbing as they were cornering and therefore avoid them graining up. Who knows? Maybe I'm just the conspiracy theorist looking at what I'm seeing going on and trying to come up with a reasonable explanation for it, as opposed to the FIA that just cover everything up. Who knows? Next. So enough of talking about the FIA making pretend revisions to the technical regulations. Revisions that they didn't need to make because the existing ones already forbade the use of asymmetric braking, but they pretended, we need to clarify this. For whom? Whom needed the clarification? But you don't tell us that. Now we're on to Ted in the pits.
Papaya rules are not only cut
Papaya rules are not for
them open when they're nice and juicy. It is actually the rules of engagement.
Oh, the rules of engagement. Are they just for the McLaren drivers, or are they sport-wide? Are they rules of engagement as to what constitutes fair and reasonable overtaking manoeuvres, legal overtaking manoeuvres in the sport, and what kind of manoeuvre would you would be classed as an infringement, and would you be receiving a penalty for? They are the rules of engagement. Back in 2021, we'll forget all of the rules of engagement, Michael. We'll just say, let them race, is what they wanted to tell the world and educate the world with. And you call this a sport. And you'll get the people in the comment section go, yeah, you're not a true racer. You're not a real racing fan. Yeah, this is motorsport. Yeah. If you're a petrol head, if you're a real motor racing fan, you'll think it's fine to ram the other cars off the track, is essentially what they're saying. So you like stock car racing. Yeah, is that what you like, kids? You've played a few computer games, and there's no jeopardy in running another driver off the track and crashing somebody out. Yeah, you can just restart. You can just push your car back onto the track and play again. There's no jeopardy. There's no chance of you sitting in your bedroom and sustaining an injury, travelling at 220 miles an hour in a car, and have somebody smash you off, risking your life. No, it's everything's fine for you in your bedroom, isn't it, kids? You real motor racing fans, yeah? You real racers. Next. This one's a beauty. Here we go.
This is Kevin Magnussen and Pierre Gasly. Magnussen on the inside into the chicane. Did he leave his braking too late? Did he cause a collision?
Did he leave his braking too late? Did he cause a collision?
Control might pass that on to the stewards.
Yeah, he was out of control when he
was out of control.
arrived. He was in the right place in terms of he deserved some space on the corner, but he wasn't under control.
Yeah, this papaya.
So he wasn't under control. Was Max Verstappen under control at Brazil 2021? Was Max Verstappen under control at Turn 1 Saudi 2021? Was Max Verstappen under control at Silverstone 2021? Let me know what you think in the comment section. So Martin Brundle knows though, doesn't he? Martin Brundle can identify that, oh, as a racing driver, you have to be under control.
He was in the right place in terms of he deserved some space on the corner, but he wasn't under control.
Where have you said that about Max Verstappen? About Hungary? Did you say that Max wasn't under control at Hungary? He's gone too hot into a corner and then put the brakes on, tried to turn them steering wheels, and it's inevitable you're going to lock up. Oh, so that's not under control then, is it? But, you know, they say this about Supermax. Nothing but compliments and adulation for Supermax. Never highlighting when he's done something that is just absolutely atrocious. Strange that. Next.
So, again, we saw him plough in, didn't he?
We saw him plough in, didn't we? Who's he talking about now? He's not on about Supermax, is he?
With his front axle lock.
He's talking about Max in Hungary, isn't he?
They've been in the wars, haven't they, Haas? So they've both had a penalty. Early on, Hulkenberg actually was on the receiving end of a driver who was penalised.
It's not been straightforward, and you feel a bit for Nico Hulkenberg. He's down in 18th.
Yep, we all feel for Hulkenberg. Next.
Then locks up, goes straight over the runoff area and gives the place to Ricciardo, which was the sensible option there before the stewards got involved.
Yeah, so he kept position, which they look at more and more now. He kept position by running off the track.
I thought we called that let them race. We call that let them race, Martin.
Fair enough. Yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So you kept position by running off the track, or trying to run your opponent off the track in Max's case. Next. Multiple things going on in this one.
At the end of this race.
When it's possible to defend, you want me to race him?
When it's impossible to defend, do you want me to race him? This is young Maxwell. Max, the real racer. That, you know, the Max that could beat everybody if he was driving an Alpine. But it's impossible to race now, Max. What's the problem, mate? You're Max Verstappen. You're the best you've ever seen. You'd beat everybody if you were driving a Ford Escort. You're that good.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yes, please, Max. We'd like you to race. Which is surprising, because when it's the other way round, everybody else, it's oh that's Max. He's not our race. Just roll out the red carpet and let Max by.
Him being Lando Norris, who, as you can see...
Yeah, reciprocal arrangement for Lando is, wave you by, Max. There you go. But I'll defend against everybody else.
Is gaining sector by sector, lap by lap on Max Verstappen, and has brought that gap down to just under 1.4 seconds.
Max Verstappen, do you want me to try and keep Lando Norris, the other title rival, behind me? Do you want me to try and race him or not? Let me know what you think in the comments section. I don't know the answer to that. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's an interesting call, isn't it? It's basically like, how much of our race do we want to compromise?
How much of your race do you want to compromise? Or by racing them, are you compromising their race? By racing them, are you impacting the number of points that they're going to accumulate as well? I wonder. I've got a title rival. Do I just let them by me? Or do I try and keep them behind me? Or is that going to compromise my race?
Fighting Lando. You'd imagine Lando should, if he gets a DRS down the pit straight, be able to sail past.
Well, with Red Bull being the slowest in the speed trap in qualifying.
Yeah. But surely Max would just do his thing of just forcing the other car off the track to not let it by. You know, we saw that at Imola. in 2021. We saw that at Monza. Max can use them chicanes at Monza to either like force Lando off the track or just land on his head. Max can do that on the sausage curb and just take Lando out so that Lando doesn't score more points than him at this event. Why aren't you doing that, Max? Why aren't you doing that? You'll at least protect your championship lead, won't you, Max? Would you like me to race him or not? Yes, please, Max. Yes, please.
You're absolutely right. Sergio Perez makes a move on Alex Albon.
In a car that doesn't have the straight line speed. Anyway, next. So, what's going on here?
Goes Lando Norris. That's the easy move.
Oh, Lando puts an easy move on somebody. Now, we didn't get that, Max is doing an easy move when Max was just blitzing past everybody in that supremely fast Red Bull. That was Max Verstappen's driving. That was how great Max was. It wasn't an easy move because Max was pedaling that car so fast.
That he was hoping for maybe a lap ago, but he is up now into third. And this is so important for Norris in that championship challenge, because now it's 15 points for him today and it's 8 points for Max Verstappen. So it's a 7-point swing and we come down to a 63-point lead going to Baku. As it stands at the moment, make that 64 points because Verstappen obviously has the fastest lap.
You what? Verstappen has the fastest lap. How does that work then? Surely if you're capable of getting the fastest lap how come you can't do it consistently? So the Red Bull can pull out the odd fast lap, but Max can't do it consistently. But when that Red Bull is the best car, Max can do it consistently. So what's changed? What means that Max can no longer lap that car consistently, lap after lap after lap after lap? What's changed? I wonder. Well, actually, this idea of racing your opponent, this might be why.
And that put having to wait, get past Sainz, has put Norris 4.5 seconds adrift, doesn't he, of Piastri.
So in a Formula One race, if you've got a car that's behind you and you're fighting for position and you're fighting against them in the championship as you are all season, okay, by you racing them, by you keeping them behind you, you're delaying their overall race result, aren't you? And therefore, if you manage to keep them behind you for 3 or 4 laps or 5 laps or however many laps you can keep them behind you through either defending or driving tactically, using your energy recovery storage at the right points in time so that they can't make an overtake on you, if you can do that, then what you're doing is you are harming their chances of gaining places further up the field in that race. You're putting them in a position where they're less likely to get third, second, or first because you're taking time out of the race for them. So therefore, you are actively reducing the amount of points that they can obtain in that race, which is surely what you want to be doing if you're involved in a championship fight with them. Strange that, isn't it? Next.
Can people in the background please be awake? I know this is a position, but it's important.
Oh, Max having another paddy. Did we see Max Verstappen smack his steering wheel after a delay at his pit stop? Yeah, that's the typical Max reaction. When things aren't going Max's way, Max has a tantrum. Max gets on the radio, gobbing off. Abu Dhabi 2021, things weren't going Max Verstappen's way. Okay, Max Verstappen was on course to lose the World Championship. Okay, the one that he had led for a lot of the year until Lewis Hamilton came back and won the last 4 races of the season. But Max was on course to lose that. And it very much looked like it was on course to be a safety car finish. Max displayed remarkable composure. No effing and blinding on the radio, okay? Instead, Max was typical decision. I'm not surprised. Ha 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 ha. That's not what we generally see from Max Verstappen. Strange that.
Yes, copy that, Max.
I wonder if Max is a bit concerned about George Russell behind him as well, because Russell's got a little bit more pace. I'm not sure. He's 15 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, but Russell is reducing that gap. I know it's 4.5 seconds, but it is important, and he senses that importance. Every point is precious.
Every point is precious. Oh, I didn't think it was, lads. I didn't think. I thought it was if you'd led the most amount of laps, that would make you fully deserve it. I thought it was if you scored the most amount of podiums, that would make you fully deserve to be the champion. Whether you'd won it validly or not. I thought it was you've left the most number of events in the lead of the championship. Yeah, I thought those were the crucial factors. What you're saying was crucial.
And he senses that importance. Every point is precious.
Yeah.
Oh, it's every point is precious. Oh, so it's whoever collects the most amount of championship points that fully deserves to be the champion. Yeah. That would be right.
He's starting to see his World Championship lead ebbing away a little bit.
Which means normally he then tries to run the other car off the track. Next.
There's that message from Verstappen. Can everyone in the background please stay awake? I want to keep my position squares with what Russell's being told on his team radio. Can you hear? Can you hear that, Martin?
Can you hear that?
Your microphone.
Every time Leclerc. Now you know what I was saying. That the Tifosi have twigged what's going on with Leclerc, with the death and glory.
They've twigged with the death and glory, because nobody can remember the Belgian, not the Belgian parade, that was 2021. Nobody can remember the Belgian Grand Prix of 2024, where one driver, the tyre whisperer, out of the blue, his team didn't even tell his teammate that's what he was going to do, right? They kept it a secret. One driver managed to go the whole race just changing his tyres once. You couldn't make it up, could you? Oh, but they've twigged that this might be going on again.
Leclerc's pit stop strategy. Every time Leclerc comes by, they're thinking they can make a chance. The Tifosi want Leclerc. They're powering him on to try and keep this tyre alive. Can tyres hear, Crofty? Can they hear the Tifosi scream?
Only if you whisper.
Yeah, come on. Well, he is going to have to whisper them.
Oh, we're all tyre whisperers, aren't we?
But they're trying to, the Tifosi are trying to scream Charles Leclerc to victory. But Russell has been told by his engineer on the last lap or two, he thinks they can get past Verstappen.
And
how did that work for you? Next. So this one's a long one, but there's quite a few things to point out.
This is a bit like George Russell did in Spa, isn't it? Yeah. Sort of a counter strategy. Didn't look possible. Suddenly, Charles Leclerc's brother Arthur's also a race driver, of course. And Piastri only took half a second out of him on the previous tour. Piastri in a little bit of traffic. Now he's...
So we finally worked out that, this is what we saw in Spa as well. Funny that.
Got clear air.
Charles Leclerc goes through the Ascari chicane. Oscar Piastri halfway down the straight, going under the banking as Leclerc makes his exit through that chicane. Started fourth. Ferrari fancied their chances here today. They sprung a surprise with a counter strategy to the two McLarens, and it is working.
Because McLaren, you'd never think that somebody might try a one-stopper. No, you'd never think that, would you?
Very, very well from at the moment. And don't forget, they think they're in the hunt for the Constructors' Championship too, and so they should be, because they'll only be 40 points behind Red Bull come the end of this race.
And Red Bull should be being disqualified for running an illegal components in their car, and therefore have all of those results wiped out for the car that they were illegal in. Because when George Russell's Mercedes was illegal, he had those points at the Belgian Grand Prix wiped out, disqualified. the Williams Grand Prix that was illegal in qualifying at the last Grand Prix. What had its qualifying performance wiped out, because that's what happens. So when your car does not meet the technical regulations of the sport, you get those points wiped out. But not if you're Red Bull.
Red Bull hold on to the lead by 10 points as it stands. And the Tifosi are ready for the biggest garden party the Royal Gardens and the Royal Parks at Monza have had in quite some time.
Now, I remember back to the start of this race when Crofty was explaining about the Monza circuit and the big kind of park area that Monza circuit sat in. And he described, I think he was using Cockney rhyming slang because he was describing what used to take place there and suggesting that is similar to what we were likely to be seeing at that event. And he described there was often a royal hunt there. Indeed, Crofty, there's quite a lot of royal hunts in the sport of Formula One.
Piastri's not making enough pace. This is 7 seconds to go. You've got 3 laps, including this one, which means he needs thick end of 2 seconds a lap, doesn't he?
Yeah.
To catch Leclerc, let alone pass him. That's a tall order.
The big upgrade package.
Oh, he needs 2 seconds a lap to catch him. Back in Abu Dhabi, 2021, you know, the fraudulent race. There was a virtual safety car. Who was it? I think it's Antonio Giovinazzi's car. It broke down and they had to push it out of the way, and they used a virtual safety car, and Toto fulfilled his part of the script by telling the race control that they shouldn't deploy the safety car there. No, Michael, no safety car. And this is when they, after the event, were telling us, oh, it's atrocious that these team principals are on at the race director like that. And Toto should never have done that, you know. But they never said anything about Christians. We only need one racing lap. But Toto saying no safety car, that's just not on. Scripted. But at that virtual safety car, Max Verstappen went into the pits for his second tyre change that race, changed those hard tyres that he was on onto another set of hard tyres, and emerged with 20 laps of that Grand Prix remaining. And Martin Brundle told us that we needed to see 20 Schumacher-esque bonsai qualifying laps. You know, 20 qualifying, because that's what you do in qualifying, isn't it? You just go fastest lap after fastest lap after fastest lap. You do 20 of them, don't you? You know, you don't need to kind of put them tyres, cool them down a bit, otherwise you're going to scrub them and you're going to wear them out, aren't you? There's no tyre management going on. You don't have to go a lap where you are getting some recharge back into that battery so you can deploy it again to put in that fast lap. You can just lap 20 Schumacher-esque bonsai qualifying laps, which is what he was telling us we needed to see from Max Verstappen back there. But it's a tour. Max could have done it. Max was capable of doing it, but not Oscar.
That came here to Monza. Why do you spend all that time and effort to bring a big upgrade package to Monza? Will you do it if you're Ferrari?
So Ferrari, why have you spent all that time and effort to bring a big upgrade package? Oh, so tell everybody the reason that Ferrari are going to win this is because it's their big upgrade package. That big upgrade package, which meant that they were still significantly slower than those McLarens. When you factor in that McLaren pitted twice to the Ferraris once, well, that puts the Ferrari about 20 seconds behind on raw race pace. Strange that, isn't it? But it's the big upgrade package.
Because winning here is absolutely everything for the Tifosi and the team that is the de facto national Italian team in Formula One. And we are on lap.
What a season for having the perfect results at the perfect races, yeah? At the perfect locations. The right winner wins.
51, and there's just over 6 seconds between Leclerc, Ferrari and the Tifosi's celebration for victory.
You couldn't make it up, could you?
Norris is not making the impression on his teammate. He's going to have to settle for third place as it stands here currently. Carlos Sainz down in fourth. Lewis Hamilton comfortable in fifth, ahead of Max Verstappen, who is watching George Russell, because Russell's now just over 3 seconds behind him. That gap has come down once again. The day that was going to be all about McLaren and a potential 1-2. They've been usurped a little bit by Ferrari here, but we're not at the finish yet, are we? And that's the difference between Piastri and Lando Norris, who can easily see his teammate down the main straight.
Yeah, 1.1 seconds faster Piastri. He needs at least 2 per lap.
So it's not happening, is it? It's just not happening. But keep everyone excited.
And that's not doable. I don't think that's doable unless Leclerc absolutely runs out of grip in the next few miles. He's got it covered.
Leave me alone.
Unless he completely runs out of grip.
I know what I'm doing is what Kimi Raikkonen once said. We kind of had the Charles Leclerc version a few laps ago, and he definitely does know what he's doing here. However, his tyres are starting. Raikkonen once.
Unless Leclerc absolutely runs out of grip in the next few miles, he's got it covered.
Leave me alone. I know what I'm doing is what Kimi Raikkonen once said. We kind of had the Charles Leclerc version a few laps ago, and he definitely does know what he's doing here. However, his tyres are starting to go, and we are still a lap and a half away from the checkered flag. So it's not over.
His tyres are starting to go, and we're still... Stay on the edge of your seat for the next lap and a half. It's still... His tyres are going to go. What's going to happen, everybody?
Until it's over. But he is the race leader and on course. Ferrari
Salesman.
to be the third different constructor to win in the last 3 races. And none of those are called Red Bull.
None are called Red Bull. I thought this was an Adrian Newey car, designed by the Genius. An evolution of that Genius car. Surely it should be even better than it ever was. I thought it was in the hands of the best driver we've ever seen. What's going on now?
That is how this season has transformed and come alive.
What, when the FIA finally imposed something on Red Bull to say you're not using that cheat device anymore? Oh, it's come alive, hasn't it?
My goodness, what a podium. This is going to be the best.
Because otherwise people were turning off. People were saying, do we want to really endure another season of watching those fools at Red Bull just run off into the distance when we know something doesn't appear right? Oh, I think in order to maintain interest in the show, we need to do something. But we'll wait till Red Bull get far enough ahead first before we do anything.
Podium in
races, and none of it's over. But he is the race leader and on course. Ferrari to be the third different constructor to win in the last 3 races, and none of those are called Red Bull. That is how this season has transformed and come alive.
My goodness, what a podium. This is going to be the best podium in the world as well, to boot. Ferrari leads into the final lap, and here in Monza, wow.
The best podium in the world. Yeah, keep selling it, keep selling it. Next.
Elsewhere, Fernando Alonso chasing Alex Albon for the final points place. It's not going to go his way, I don't think. Kevin Magnussen holding on to 9th currently. George Russell 2.5 seconds behind Max Verstappen. But that is just the race for the minor points. And Magnussen, sorry, don't...
Hang on a minute. That's just the race for the minor points. So it's not significant then. So you're talking about position 6 down to 10. Oh, they're just for the minor points. So what do you get? 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. Right, so Max Verstappen racing to pick up 8 points. Maintain the 8 points that he's currently on course to get, and not let George Russell past him where he'd only get 6 points. Oh, but that's just for the minor points. But okay, what if come the showdown at Abu Dhabi this year, Max ends up losing the championship by 1 point? What if he loses the championship by 1 point? Well, what made the difference? Was that the difference between first and second at one event? Or could it have been the difference between 6th and 7th? You know, those minor points that just don't matter. Or is it the fact that they all matter? Every single one of those points could matter for every driver. It matters. Oh, it's not our race. Max isn't our race. We'll just let him finish ahead of us. He's not our race. Oh, we let Max by. What, Lando lost the championship by 1 point because I didn't race Max for 6th position because he wasn't my race? Or has all drivers got to earn each and every one of those points in the championship? I wonder. But again, it is about points. It's about picking up the most amount of points. It's accumulating as many points as you can at every Grand Prix because they go to your season-long total. It's not about how many laps you led. It's not about how many podiums you might have had. It's not even about how many race wins. It's none of that. It's all about how many points you've accumulated over the course of the season. You get as many as you can get at each event. Because if you get down to that last race of the season and that's ending, you pick your points up there, it's all about the total points. And if you're just ahead by 1 point, which event over the course of the season made the difference? And you can't pick one because you got points at as many as you could. They're all important, aren't they? They're all important.
Don't forget, has got a 10-second penalty to come. That's the minor points placings. Let's go to the front here. It is.
That's the minor points placings. They're all important.
It's all about victory celebrations now. Charles Leclerc tasted victory in Monaco, his home earlier this season. He is about to taste victory for the second time at his other home, the Royal Park in Monza, and it's a royal performance for the man they'll call King Charles round here. Charles Leclerc wins the Italian Grand Prix, and Ferrari have triumphed on their home tarmac.
Thanks for that, Crofty. Royal Hunt. What's happening now?
Lando Norris, for the second week running, takes the fastest lap on the final lap, and that's another point. And
Well, he hadn't pitted for a set of fresh softs. How come these drivers are all of a sudden being able to set the fastest lap of the race on the very last lap of the race when these tyres are supposed to be wearing out all the time? Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. You know, they're on worn tyres and yet are able to set the fastest lap of the race.
precious point for him. In third place, Carlos Sainz will come home to take fourth ahead of Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, the championship leader. Red Bull didn't have the pace today. He could only finish sixth.
Red Bull didn't have the pace, so Max could only finish sixth. Okay, it's the car's fault that Max didn't. When Max wins, it's because Max is the best ever. When Max doesn't win, it's because the car's got a problem, isn't it?
Hamilton did a 21.5 on the last lap, but that was usurped by Lando Norris, as you say, with a critical World Championship point for that. But
critical World Championship point. They all matter, don't they? They all matter. Oh, critically, Martin, who led the most amount of laps? That's the critical part of this, surely. Surely, Martin, that's the critical. Who I want to know who led the most amount of laps, because that is critical. Go on, teach these strap-on fans, teach these strap-on fanboys that keep jumping up in the comment section with all their fake validations for the cheating of 2021. Oh, Max, my hero Max, he fully deserved it. He led the most amount of laps. He had the most amount of podiums. He left the most amount of events still in the lead of the World Championship. He had no luck. He had no luck all year.
Ferrari have pulled this one out of the bag. They've beaten, I should say, the faster pair of cars.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
No, but I thought Ferrari threw all their money at the upgrades.
Because they saved a pit stop. Lap 15 he put those tyres on, and 38 laps ago, and then he absolutely stroked them to the end, didn't he? And a formation finish there for Ferrari. It's
44 laps Lewis did in Abu Dhabi 2021, stroking them to the end. Yeah, until you cheated him, and then you tell us that Mercedes got it wrong by not pitting him. Mercedes were conservative by not pitting Lewis Hamilton for fresh tyres. See which ways the tyre narratives work.
4 for them. It is 1 and 4. 2 and 3 for McLaren. Hamilton beats Verstappen.
Now, if you remember, they were constantly trying to suggest the race we're going to see here now is, are the McLarens with their 2 stops going to be able to overcome the Ferrari who are gambling on that 1 stop? Is Ferrari's gamble gonna pay off, or are those tyres gonna fall off a cliff come the end of the race and McLaren's be able to snatch that victory right at the end? Have a listen to this.
He was complaining about stopping too early, Martin, and questioning why they stopped him too early.
Yeah, you've lost track position and we've stopped so early, and he ends up winning the race. So the 2 Ferraris won the stop, as did Alex Albon, Ricciardo.
So the 2 Ferraris 1 stopped, as did Albon, Ricciardo,
Magnussen, and then Dan Ocon. Actually, more 1 stop than 2 stopped in that.
More 1 stop than 2 stop. But if you follow their narrative, then what jeopardy? Or if you just ignore what Brundle and Crofty say and observe and have an understanding of the sport, you can realise for yourself, develop the intelligence to work out for yourself what the possibilities are, what the likelihoods are. Or you can listen to their bullshit brainwashing and just let them get you excited. Let them get you aroused by speaking very quickly and coming up with all sorts of scenarios. Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? What's going to happen? Ew, crazy shit! But I guess if you're a real motor racing fan, then that's normal. That's what you expect. Oh, this is motor racing. It's really fast. So the commentators have to talk really fast as well, because that's what we expect when we're seeing cars go round a quick track going really fast. Or you can just watch it and do what Fernando Alonso does and sit there and have a look. Work so hard and sit there having a look, which is what I do. Anyway, are they saying anything else that's interesting?
That race,
yeah,
and it certainly worked out for Charles Leclerc.
It certainly has. Leclerc pulled.
It certainly has. It certainly has. Well done, Charles. Let's see what they're saying here.
He might have had a little bit more wing just to help protect those tyres than Carlos Sainz. Tyres with a pickup now to help add just a little bit of extra weight, because the cars, as we found out at Spa, always get weighed to make sure that they are legal.
The cars always get checked. Well, they said weighed is. Get checked to make sure they're legal. All the cars are always checked to ensure they're legal. Can you talk us through the Red Bull legalities of their car, lads? Can you talk us? The FIA can you if a car's not legal, for example, a car's got something on it that makes you have to clarify the technical regulations. Can you tell us which team was doing something which made you have to clarify it and what it was? And did that make that car illegal? And if it did, are you going to disqualify that car in the same way you disqualify every other car when it's not legal? Can you do that? No.
During the Grand Prix itself, I've got a translation for you from Charles Leclerc's race engineer.
Thanks for that. Now, just to finish this one off, this is the state of the Constructors' Championship when Red Bull don't get disqualified for running illegal components on their car. And ultimately, people will say, "Oh, there's no proof that they did," but actually, when you see the drop off in performance, something's going on there. So I'm not going to accept the notion that, oh, the other teams have outdeveloped Red Bull. No, the Red Bull car is going backwards, and therefore something has changed. You don't bring an upgrade, it make your car slower, and then you go, oh, we'll just keep going with that slower car then. We'll use that upgrade that's made us slower and makes our car slower in a straight line and not be able to handle around corners. We'll do that. Or how about that's made things a lot worse? We'll go back to the drawing board and continue using the car that was working. Okay, because that's what you do. And actually, when the other teams haven't overtaken you, well, why would you then throw an upgrade at it that then makes it slower? Because you don't need to when your car's significantly faster. And it's only really that you need to see what they're doing. You're out there cruising in the lead. Let's see what they've got. Let's see if they can catch you up. And if they do catch you up, firstly they've got to catch you, and then they've got to. But even if they get a car that's equivalent on performance, then you've got Supermax. So Max will still beat them in an equally competitive car because he's Supermax. But when they've surpassed you, maybe you take a look at what they're doing and seeing if there's a genius designer at another team that Adrian Newey can then copy. So yeah, Red Bull were cheating. Red Bull were doing something wrong. And regardless, if Red Bull want to put their lawyers onto me for accusing them of cheating by saying that they had illegal components on their car that I have no tangible proof of other than the evidence of their performance decline, I will return with the fact that 2021 was an entire contrivance. So we will bring that event into any court proceedings that you will want to bring to me. So please, by all means, take me to court, please, Red Bull. But the key thing here, why I've pulled up the Constructor Championship points, is it was mentioned that with McLaren's 2-3 finish at Monza, McLaren now have more podiums than Red Bull this season. That's what they told us. Oh, they've got the most amount of podiums. Do you know what that means? Nothing. Okay? Because the Constructors' Championship is determined by who accumulates the most amount of championship points. The same criteria that the Drivers' Championship is determined by. So it's not about, oh, have McLaren led the most amount of laps? Have McLaren got the most amount of podiums? Or have McLaren accumulated the most amount of points validly? Yeah. Well, validly they might have done. They probably have with Red Bull cheating. 2021, did Max Verstappen accumulate the most amount of points validly? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. But he fully deserved it apparently because he led the most amount of laps. He got the most amount of podiums. He left the most number of events, leading the World Championship. He had no luck. He had no luck all season, apparently, even though he was gifted the Belgian parade. 12.5 points gift there to Lewis Hamilton's 7.5 points gift, because nobody deserved anything. They were all gifted points so that they didn't have to refund spectators. That was that one. We've got he had no luck in the fact that Lewis nearly killed him at Silverstone. No. That wasn't the truth. The truth is Max caused that collision at Silverstone. You had a tyre blowout in Baku. Yeah, you've seen the tyre whisperers can nurse their tyres home for that period of time. Not able to whisper to your tyres back in Baku, were you, Max? You had no luck in the fact that the stewards never penalised you for any of your infringements, Max. But all those reasons, all those reasons made him fully deserving of the 2021 manufactured championship. But focus on what's real. Focus on what the real criteria is, and that is points. That's the criteria that is the determining factor as to who gets awarded the championship. It's not the most amount of podiums, is it? It's not the most amount of podiums. Anyway, that'll do on this one. I think it's been a long one. It's gone on for a lot longer than anticipated. But there's got a couple of videos. There's a few things that happened at Monza that I want to do some videos on, and they do relate to the 2021 season and Abu Dhabi, which is, for anybody that's relatively new to the channel, this channel is not your typical fluff Formula One channel that just wants to speculate about things that we don't know about because it's irrelevant. The sport, the show, is corrupt. They've been corrupt. We know it's been for a long time, but Abu Dhabi 2021 was a global fraud that this sport has just served to cover up. Nobody has ever exposed the truth about Abu Dhabi 2021. The media has served to validate it. Be clear about this. It was a crime. It was an absolute crime, and that crime is fraud. The law enforcement agencies that are tasked to deal with it are not dealing with it. So that in itself is corrupt. Understand the world that we're living in. Understand the world that we're living in, the system that applies to all of us, okay, that we live our lives. We have rules that dictate what the parameters of our existence are. Those same rules aren't being applied here. Companies are being allowed to make billions through corrupt practices, through crimes, defined crimes that if we committed them, we would be punished for them. What's going on? Those tasked with investigating the crimes aren't punishing those crimes. What's going on? The media, which we are led to believe is a source of information to us all to tell us what's really going on, are spinning us a complete false narrative, are lying to us about what's going on. And therefore, people have invested their time and their emotion and their interest in this so-called sport of Formula One, and it's an entire contrivance. So this channel is to expose that, is to talk you through all of the bullshit that we're seeing. There's a lot more, but hopefully by watching videos like this, you can see for yourself through some of the narrative that we're being presented with. So that's the reason that I've taken to YouTube to expose Abu Dhabi 2021, and along the way, hopefully show some people, open some people's eyes as to the bullshit that is happening in this world, and using Formula One as an example as to hopefully wake a few people up. If you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and importantly, share the content. I really appreciate those of you that are doing that. It's helping this content reach a lot more people so that a lot more people get to see what is really happening in the sport, but get to see what really happened at Abu Dhabi 2021. If you've not already checked them out, check out the videos that I've done, which have got the highest number of views. Sort the videos that I've done by most popular, and click on that top one, Andrew Benson exposing the fraud of Abu Dhabi. Well, you'll realise he hasn't done that. You'll realise that Andrew Benson of the BBC has never revealed anything about the Abu Dhabi fraud that's accurate. And you will see categorically proven that the commentary teams are lying about what is possible ahead of those rules being broken. That's how corrupt and fraudulent this show is. And I can prove almost every element of it. And there's more to come. Once again, thank you all for your time, and tune in to the next one. Thanks.